Guy that had the Golf before, and now he has this.
Euro gang.
535i.
Euro gang.
It's pretty sweet, actually.
Euro gang. I'm gonna take this off. Don't worry. It's not an M car.
Yeah.
It's not an M car.
But today I'm going to be putting some new power steering fluid on my 335 and a new reservoir and lots of other stuff. But his taillights weren't working properly, so he's been doing some stuff.
No, I don't have reverse lights. It doesn't matter. My brake lights work.
Yeah, but the brake lights work, so it's okay.
They'll know I'll stop, but they won't know if I'm coming towards them.
Yeah, it's all good. Alright guys, so first of all you need to do is jack up your car, put on Jacksons like I have right now, and get the under tray off, just a bunch of 8mm screws. Then come on over to your power steering reservoir. I do not have active steering, so mine looks like this, with a green kind of ring around it. Just take it off. Kind of shows a level right there, and then we'll take out all the existing fluid from this old reservoir right here. Alright, so we've got all the old fluid out. It's in this container over here. It was some really nasty stuff, actually. I want to show you guys how dirty it was. I'm going to take some out with this little syringe right here. Yeah, so look how dirty that is. It's basically black, which is definitely not what you want. Like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to do this every 2 years or so. Maybe even more than that, longer than that. But it's pretty dirty. My steering has felt a little bit vague recently. A little bit of hesitation for sure. But I knew it was time. I think I was technically due in November, but it's December now, so just didn't have time to do it. I will be replacing this reservoir right here as well. It's pretty cheap to replace. I have the new part. The reason being is that the filter for the power steering fluid is actually inside of this guy. So you want to replace that for sure. I'm at 99,000 miles, so figured it was about time to do that. But we're not done draining the fluid yet. We got to go into the car and then get the drain bolt open and kind of get the rest of the fluid out by kind of moving the steering wheel back and forth. And yeah, it should be pretty comprehensive. So here's the front of the car over here. My tray is off. Here's your steering rack right about over here. And then, that's a good way to show you guys. Turning around now. Kind of hard to see. Let me get some light. Much better. Okay. See those two bolts right there? Yeah, so one of those screws, the black one up there, it has a thicker head. We're going to be unscrewing that one. That's kind of the drain plug for the power steering rack. Not the best place, but that's what it is. It's 19mm. So I'm going to get my ratchet and take that one off and then drain it into the pan over here. I'm sure it'll get kind of messy, but we'll be able to clean this thing off after we're done. Yeah, get it done right now. Got the drain bolts out right there. Things are pretty messy down here. We got 3 separate streams of fluid coming down, but it's all going in the tub, which is all that matters. But yeah, it's coming out for sure. Get some light out there so you guys can see it properly. So as you can see, it's kind of coming down from different parts of the subframe, but I'm gonna clean it off afterwards, so it's not really a huge deal. Once it stops kind of dripping down, we're gonna go to the steering wheel and kind of move it back and forth just to make sure it's all coming out. But yeah, make sure your pan is covering all sides. As you can see, got a little bit of spillage right there, but nothing too bad, nothing major at all. But yeah, it's all coming out from that one spot I was talking about earlier. Yeah, dripping has slowed down a lot, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to the steering wheel and kind of move it lock to lock just to make sure we get all that fluid out of there. You can hear it kind of coming out. It's kind of funny. Alright, so it turns that it takes around 15 to 20 full turns lock to lock of the steering wheel to kind of get all the fluid out. I actually ended up just using my hand to kind of move this wheel back and forth all the way before all the fluid came out. So I kind of cleaned it up quite a bit already. There was quite a lot of spillage because it kind of sprays out actually when you actually turn the wheel back and forth pretty fast. So I'd recommend doing it pretty slowly, just kind of make sure you kind of don't get too much spillage anywhere. But this stuff cleans up pretty well, especially on this floor I got over here. So not too bad. I've already put the plug back in, but I had to torque it down to 22 foot-pounds. That's what I saw on the forums. Not sure if that's exactly right, but the guy seems to be having no problems with it, so I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to torque down to 20 pounds, and I'm going to take out the old filter up top reservoir, put the new one in, put new fluid in, we should be all set. Plug is all torqued up to 22 foot-pounds already, so I'm going to take out this old reservoir over here. It's 2 10mm over here first. There are a couple clamps I'll need to use a flathead for to take those off. But first off, I'm going to get these off, and then I'll show you where I'm at after that. 10 millimeters undone. One thing to note is that these little guys can fall out pretty easily. They kind of sit inside of these little bushings on the reservoir itself. So be careful to take those out from the top, I'd say, before you fully undo. You don't want to drop it down the engine bay. Yeah, that's off now. But now we got the two hoses. There's a bigger hose at the top. So the top hose is a little bit bigger than the bottom hose, just a little bit smaller. So when you buy the new reservoir, you want to buy 2 new clamps like these. I'll put the part numbers below, but those are pretty important to kind of secure those hoses on the reservoir itself. So we need to basically stick a flathead. See that gap right there on the right side? That gap. You want to stick a flathead and kind of twist it. It'll loosen it immediately. Same exact design on the other side as well. I've heard that the other one, or putting it back on, is pretty difficult. So we need some pliers of some sort, some sort of vice grips maybe to put it back together with the new clamps. But because we've already drained the fluid, there should be really nothing else in here. Should be pretty straightforward. If we look inside, it's pretty barren. Yeah, it's pretty much empty. It is empty actually, so that's a good sign. Should be easy to take off, and then we got to put the new one on. So take those clamps off. I'll be back when I'm done with that. Off those clamps and removing the hose actually took a really long time. It's pretty frustrating to do. I use some silicone lubricant to kind of get it off easier. You really gotta muscle it off. Let some silicone lube sit on there for a little bit. That's what I recommend doing. It kind of worked a little bit better by doing that. But yeah, it's just kind of tight quarters too. You gotta be careful not to cut yourself on like some of the metal pieces over here. But also when I take it off, the old clasp kind of fell down on the hose itself. Kind of went down, follow the hose down. It's pretty hard to get to it afterward. But I managed to get both of them off despite mangling one. So definitely want. Here's the other one actually that I kind of destroyed. So you definitely want to get new clamps. I'll put the parts below. But yeah, that should be it. Turkeying off. Gotta put the new one on now and fill the fluid. But yeah, here's my old reservoir right here. Just is what it is. Got the bracket on me to take it off. Here's the new reservoir from FCB Euro. It's OEM BMW part. It's got the logo right there, as you can see. Little caps for the where the hoses go, and the new clamps. One is smaller than the other. Obviously, just like the ones before. The smaller one goes below, as you can see. The larger one goes above. But first, we gotta transfer this bracket over, which is pretty easy. Just undo this 10 millimeter and put it in the exact same spot it is on this reservoir, at least kind of close to it. And yeah, that's about it. An update: I ended up not using the BMW clips. They were way too hard to put on. I kind of kept hurting my hands on the metal, and it really wasn't working out. I think I bent one as well, so I ended up using some normal hose clamps, which are over here. They did the job just fine. I'll let you guys know if it leaks at all, but it seems pretty tight. I tightened them down as much as I could. Probably should be fine. It's just normal hose clamp. Now I'm going to add some fluid to the new reservoir. Completely new. Not even touched at all. So I'm going to put some new fluid in. Then I'm going to lower the car actually, and I think I might have to start the car maybe for a little bit, or at least put the ignition on, kind of get the power steering pump running, and then keep adding it to make sure we kind of get to the desired line. So yeah. For all E90s, I believe, active steering or not, you want to use the CHF Pentosan 11S fluid. It's pretty expensive stuff, but you definitely want to use this stuff. Anything else pretty much damage your system pretty badly. So you want to use this stuff for sure. It'll send your lid too. I know it says on my old one, I definitely said it over here, and even on the new one it says, somewhere it says 11S. CHF 11S, yep, right there. Kind of hard to see, but trust me, it says it. So any E90, E92, want to use this for sure. It's good stuff. All the cars in the air, I'm going to go ahead and fill up the reservoir pretty much as I can. I'm going to put the steering wheel back and forth, lock to lock, just get as much fluid in the actual system before we start the car and before we get the pump running. So just keep doing that until the reservoir kind of shows somewhat full. But remember that when you shut the car, when the pump kind of turns on, it'll push all the air out, so you'll have to put some more in after that. Alright, so I say I use about half a liter of the new fluid, so clearly not enough, but as you can see, the reservoir looks full. The fluid's very green. It's kind of hard to tell with how much is in there, but the reservoir's full for now, so what I'm going to do is lower the car and then start it for like a few seconds, get the pump activated, then keep filling up the reservoir until I need to, until it's basically full. So I can repeat the process, starting the car, making sure the pump runs for a little bit, but not too much because you don't want to strain it. Yeah, and I'm going to get to that when I'll be back. Back on the ground, so I'm going to start it for a few seconds. Let's check the reservoir now. Oh yeah, it's gone on quite a bit. Can't even see it anymore. So, gotta fill it up a lot more. Reservoir went from full to empty like almost instantly. So I'm gonna get that filled up real quick. Alright, so after repeating that process about 3 times, just starting the car and kind of moving the wheels around a little bit, finally got to the point where it's pretty much the perfect level right there in between the 2 markers. So, obviously, I think that the first time I drive it after this flush, it's going to go down a little bit more. So I just be aware of that. Kind of keep some in the car with you maybe, and top it off as you go. But that's probably the majority of it. I took out this much, which is quite a bit. Kind of hard to tell on camera, but quite a lot. And I pretty much used nearly this entire thing. So a little bit left in there. So I probably should expect to be using pretty much the entire thing of this. I have an extra one if I need to, somewhere over there. But yeah, that pretty much does it for doing a power steering fluid flush on an E90 BMW. This is definitely the correct way of doing it in terms of actually getting all the fluid out from the rack itself. You'll see a lot of people who just take it out of the reservoir, but there's actually considerably more amount of fluid in the rack itself, which you definitely want to get out. And it takes a little bit longer, quite a bit longer actually, than just if you were to use the reservoir and take it out of there, but certainly worth doing for the health of your rack. Steering rack, that is, and it's a pretty expensive part, so definitely want to do that. So stick around for some more good content in this car. Got a lot planned, as you can see by this list over here. Can actually take that off now, but got an oil change coming up, brake fluid flush, new fuel pump, new headlights coming in. I'm gonna redo mine, so looking forward to that, and I'll catch you guys around.